Hello everyone and welcome to Kiki Crochet. In this video tutorial we're going to learn how to crochet step by step this beautiful bubble stitch backpack. I would like to give a big thanks to the store Magenta Arty Workshop, which is a store here in Greece, and they send their material worldwide, for sending the best material that they have so we can make our beautiful bags and purses. So let's see how our backpack looks like. Back here we have the leather straps and the leather piece over here that holds your bag, and we have the loop up here so we can hang our purse or backpack. Okay, once you loosen up the metal links over here, your backpack immediately becomes a shoulder bag or a messenger bag, depending on how you want to wear it. So we have a 3-in-1 bag, and right here in the front we have the hinge that closes our backpack, and this is how it looks like. And we want to attach a link and a hinge for our bag to close, because we are working the bubble stitch. We can't adjust a magnetic button because there's no space to sew it on here. So this is the kind of button you want for your backpack. Also, we have our leather base with the links already pinched on here, so we can attach the hinges to adjust the straps of our bag. Also, this bag is made with a 100% polyester rope, and the reason that we want this kind of rope is because when we work the bubble stitch, it eats up a lot of yarn, so we want to use a lightweight yarn so we have a light result on our bag. So now let's go ahead and see one by one all the materials that I used and how to start. Let's see the materials that we're going to use for this backpack. I'm going to need 4 skeins of this 3mm 100% polyester rope, which is 200 grams and 150 meters each skein. The reason that we need a polyester rope to create the backpack is because we're using the bubble stitch, and this stitch uses a lot of yarn, so we want to use the thinnest possible for backpacks. Okay, so this is why we're using polyester yarn, and we're going to need 4 skeins. Next, we're going to need this 100% leather straps, which are adjustable. This is going to be sewed on the back of our backpack, and this is the handle. These are the straps, okay, and those belts are the adjustable size. And this is also adjustable and polymorphic because it can be used in many ways. So if you loosen up those links over here, if you loosen them up, okay, and you pull the straps, this can become a regular bag, a regular shoulder bag. Or if you pull a little more, it can become a messenger bag. Then we have the 100% leather base, which we are going to crochet around, and those links are going to help attach the straps in the end. Then I have this leather piece, which is the piece of leather that's going to tighten up or loosen up my backpack. You can make it out of crochet, but it's a nice way to match all the leather pieces that we have here together. And instead of using a button, because when we work the bubble stitch it's not possible to attach a magnetic button, this is the way that our backpack is going to close. This is going to be attached on the lid, this is going to be attached on my bag, okay, and this is how we're going to open and close our backpack. So let's start. Let's see now how we're going to crochet around our base. So I'm going to take my 3.5mm crochet hook, and I'm going to put it into the center hole. Okay, now grab the rope from the back to the front through the first hole. Okay, now pull the loop to reach the next hole. Grab the yarn from the back, pull it through the hole and through your loop. Now pull the loop to reach the next hole, put your hook, grab the yarn, pull it through the hole and through the loop. pull the loop to reach the next hole, grab the yarn from the back and pull it through the hole and through the loop. Pull the loop to reach the next hole, grab the yarn, pull it through the hole and through your loop. So what we're actually doing is we're creating chains on top of our base so we can go in the next row and crochet under each chain. So keep working your chains all around your base, and once I reach the last hole, I'm going to turn my video back on to see how to create the last chain so our base looks nice all around. I've worked my chains all around my base, and now I have no holes left to work a last chain so it looks nice and even with the rest of my base. So what I'm going to do is I have already cut my yarn and I've left a long tail. Pull the loop so the yarn goes through the last chain that you've made. Okay, so I've brought up my yarn. Now in the first chain that we made, put your hook under that chain, grab the yarn and pull it under that chain. Okay. Now I'm going to put my hook from the back to the front into the last chain that I made. Okay, from the back to the front, put your hook and make sure your hook goes between the two loops of the chain. Grab the yarn and pull it under through that hole. So I've created my last chain, which looks identical to all the rest. Now make a knot on the wrong side of your base. Okay, burn the ends, because if you don't, the yarn will start frogging by itself. So make sure you burn the ends and weave them in on the back loops of every chain on the wrong side of your base, on the loops that have been created by the chains that we worked on the other side. Okay, so weave in your ends through those back loops over here. So now let's see how we're going to work around our chains. Okay, so we're going to take our 6mm crochet hooks now, and because this is the first row after the chains, it's going to be kind of difficult to put your hook under every chain. We are going to be helping with your fingers to raise up each chain so you can crochet under it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my hook under the chain. Okay, doesn't matter which chain, just find a chain that's somewhere in the center. Okay, grab the yarn, pull it under the chain. Chain 1, and under the same chain we're going to work 2 single crochet. Okay. One. And 2. Under the next chain, again, work 2 single crochet. One, same chain, 2. Under the next chain, one, same chain, 2. So keep working 2 single crochet under every chain. It's going to be kind of difficult to make it here on the link that we have over here, but we have to go through every single chain and work 2 single crochet all around. Once I reach the last chain, I'm going to turn my video back on to see how to start the second row of increases. I've completed my first row of single crochet by working an increase in every stitch by working 2 single crochet. Okay, what I forgot to mention in the beginning is that every base, such as this one, has a total of 40 holes all around. This means that I have worked a total of 40 chains in the beginning. So by working 2 single crochet in every chain, in row 1 I have a total of 80 single crochet. Now put your hook in the first single crochet for this row and work a slip stitch. And the chain 1 and turn your work. Now row number 2 is the last row of increases that we're going to work, and what I want to do is that I want to find the center, I want to find the corner on each side of my base. So this is the corner over here, so I want to find the single crochet that's approximately in the same hole that comes in the same hole that's next on the right side of the center, and the single crochet that's about in the same spot that the hole that's on the left side of my corner. Okay, so this is the corner over here. I know it's not really visible, so this is the corner hole over here. So I want to grab the single crochet that comes out of the corner that's on the right side of the middle one, and approximately this is the single crochet that comes out of that hole. Okay, now again the center hole is here, so I want to go to the hole that's left from the center, and I want to put a stitch marker on the single crochet that comes out straight from that hole. Okay, that's aligned with that hole over there. So in between of every stitch marker I have a total of 1, 2, 3 single crochet. So the next center hole is right here. So I want to go on the right stitch of that hole, and I'm going to put a stitch marker. And because I know that from stitch marker to stitch marker I have a space of 3 single crochet, I'm going to count 1, 2, 3 single crochet. Sorry, I'm going to count 1, 2, 3 single crochet and put my stitch marker in the 4th one. Okay, so right here where I put the stitch marker in the 4th stitch is the hole that's on the left side of the center. Now the next hole. So this right here is the center hole over here. So I want to go on the hole that's on the right side, and I'm going to put a stitch marker to the single crochet that's aligned with that hole, and then I'm going to count 1, 2, 3 single crochet and put my next stitch marker in the 4th. So that 4th single crochet is aligned with the hole that's on the left side of the center. Now go ahead into the last center hole, and it's this one right here. So the hole that's next to it, it's this one right over here. So put your stitch marker on the stitch that's aligned with that hole, and again count 1, 2, 3 single crochet, put your stitch marker in the 4th. So that 4th stitch is aligned with the hole that's on the left side of the center one. Okay, so I put stitch markers on the stitches that I'm going to work my increases. So when I completed my row, I worked a slip stitch, a chain 1, and I turned my work. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to work 1 single crochet in every stitch up until I reach my stitch marker. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and the next stitch is my stitch marker. So I'm going to take out the stitch marker and work 2 single crochet in that very same stitch. 1, same stitch, 2. So that was my increase. So keep working 1 single crochet in every stitch, and in every stitch marker work 2 single crochet on those stitches with the stitch markers. Once I finish working all around, I'm going to turn my video back on to see how to continue. I've completed my second row, okay, and on this and this row was a row that I was working on the wrong side of my work, because when I crochet and I see the inside of the base, it's the wrong side, and when I work and I see the good side of the base, it's my good side of my project. So in the end of row number 2, I have a total of 88 single crochet because I worked 2 increases on each corner. So 80 plus 8 is 88. And since when I work the second row, the stitches have come out of the base, that means that I'm ready to start working 1 stitch in every stitch, because the 2 rows that I worked, it's going to be wrapped around the base, which is the right way to crochet around the base when you're working a bag or a backpack, okay? Because if the stitches do not come out of the edges of the base, this means that when you start working 1 stitch in every stitch, the stitches are going to tighten up in the base and you're going to have an ugly result. So once you've worked your last single crochet, put your hook in the first stitch and work a slip stitch, chain 1, and turn your work. Now this is the good side. In this row, in row number 3, we're going to work 1 single crochet in every stitch, starting from the first stitch. 1, 2, 3, and keep working for a total of 88 single crochet. I finished my third row with a total of 88 single crochet. Now I'm going to put my hook in the first stitch for this row, and I'm going to work a slip stitch, chain 1, and turn your work. So now I'm going to work in the wrong side, and I'm going to work 1 more row of 1 single crochet in every stitch. So see, after the first row where we worked 1 stitch in every stitch, our bag is going to has started to build up. Okay, so again, starting from the first single crochet, 1, next stitch, 2, next stitch, 3, next stitch, 4. So keep crocheting all around for a total of 88 stitches. And the reason that I worked an extra row, the 4th row, with single crochet is that because when I turn on the good side, I'm going to start working my bubble stitches. Okay, so when I finish, I'm going to turn my video back on to see how to start the repetitions. I've worked my 88 single crochet all around, and I'm going to put my hook in the first stitch for this row, and I'm going to work a slip stitch, chain 1, and I'm going to turn my work. So after row number 4, we see that our work has started to build up even better. Okay, we can see how it has started to form. Now row number 5 is going to be the first row of repetitions for my bubble stitch. Okay, so in the first row of repetitions, what we do is we work 1 single crochet in each of the first 3 stitches. 1, 2, and 3. In the 4th stitch, we're going to work our bubble stitch, in which we're going to work 5 stitches. We're going to hold loops together, which we're going to close them together to form 1 stitch. Okay, a yarn over once, put your hook for the first time in the same stitch. Grab the yarn, pull through the first 2 loops, leave the last 2 on your hook. Yarn over once, put your hook in the same stitch for a second time, Grab the yarn, pull through the first 2 loops, leave the last one in your hook. Yarn over once, put your hook in the same stitch for the 3rd time. Grab the yarn, pull through 2 loops, leave the last one in your hook. Yarn over once, put your hook in the same stitch for the 1st time. Grab the yarn, pull through 2, leave the last loop on your hook. Yarn over once, put your hook for the 5th and last time in the same stitch. Grab the yarn, pull through 2 loops and leave the last one in your hook. So I've worked 5 stitches and I have a total of 6 loops on my hook. I will always have 6 loops on my hook. Grab the yarn and pull it carefully through all of those 6 loops. Tighten up, and starting from the next single crochet, I'm going to work 3 stitches in a row. 1. After the first single crochet, pull out your bubble stitch and tighten up your single crochet. 1, next stitch, 2, and the next stitch, 3. In the 4th stitch, I'm going to work my bubble stitch again. So yarn over once and put your hook in the next stitch for the 1st time. Grab the yarn, pull through 2 loops, leave the last 2 on your hook. Yarn over once, put your hook for the 2nd time in the same stitch. Grab the yarn, pull through 2, and leave the last loop on your hook. Yarn over once, put your hook in the same stitch for a 3rd time. Grab the yarn, pull through 2 loops, and leave the last one in your hook. Yarn over once, put your hook in the same stitch for the 4th time. Grab the yarn, pull through 2 loops, and leave the last one in your hook. Yarn over once, put your hook in the same stitch for the 5th and last time. Grab the yarn, pull through 2 loops. So I can have 5 stitches, 6 loops on my hook, which I'm going to close them together so they can count as 1 stitch. And starting from the next single crochet, I'm going to work 3 stitches in a row. 1, pull out your bubble stitch, 1, next stitch, 2, and the next one, 3. So the next stitch is going to be a bubble stitch, then 3 single crochet, bubble stitch, 3 single crochet, bubble stitch. Once I've worked all around and I reach the 2nd before last bubble stitch, I'm going to turn my video back on to see how to close the first row of repetitions and how to start the next one. I've worked the 2nd before last bubble stitch for this row. Okay, and in order to complete my row, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 stitches left. So after my bubble stitch, I'm going to work the 3 single crochet starting from the next stitch. 1, 2, and 3, and the last stitch for this row is going to be a bubble stitch. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Grab the yarn and close all the 6 loops together. Now after the last stitch, I don't have a stitch to work a single crochet, okay, because this is my last stitch, and this is how every time a repetition of row number 1 is going to finish. So put your hook in the first single crochet for this row and work a slip stitch, pull out your bubble stitch, okay, chain 1 and turn your work. Now we're going to work the 2nd row of repetitions, and they're going to be worked in the wrong side. The 2nd row of repetitions is a row of single crochet. So put your hook in the first stitch, which is the bubble stitch. So this little eye thingy right here that has been made from working all the 6 loops together. So put your hook in that loop and grab those 2 top loops, okay, together in order to work on top of the bubble stitch. And this is my first single crochet. 1, the next 3 stitches are my single crochet. 2, 3, 4. The next stitch is my bubble stitch, so put your hook in that stitch right here on the top to grab the 2 top loops. Okay. 5. The next 3 stitches are my single crochet. 6, 7, 8. The next stitch is my bubble stitch. So work 1 single crochet in every stitch. Make sure you have a total of 88 single crochet in the end of this row. I've completed the second row of repetitions with a total of 88 single crochet. Put your hook in the first stitch for this row and work a slip stitch, chain 1, and turn your work. Now we're going to start the third row of repetitions, and what we want to happen in this row is we want the bubbles that we're going to create to fall in between the bubbles of the previous row. So I'm going to start by working 1 single crochet in the first stitch for this row. After that first single crochet, I'm going to work my first bubble. Okay, so let's start. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I've worked 5 stitches, 6 loops on my hook, which I'm going to close them together. Now the rest of the row is going to be worked in the same exact way we worked the previous one. So after my bubble stitch, I'm going to work 1 single crochet in each of the next 3 stitches. So 1, and after my first stitch, I'm going to pop out the bubble stitch. 1, 2, and 3. In the fourth stitch, I'm going to work my bubble stitch. So let's start. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So I've worked 5 stitches, 6 loops, which I'm going to close them together, and starting from the next stitch, I'm going to work my 3 single crochet. One, 2, and 3. So keep working the pattern in the same exact way. 3 single crochet, bubble stitch, 3 single crochet, bubble stitch, and so on. So see how the bubble stitches that we work in this row, they fall in between of those of row number 1. So once I reach the second before last bubble stitch, I'm going to turn the video back on to see how to close the third row of repetitions together and how to start the fourth one. I've worked the second before last bubble stitch, I've worked my 3 single crochet after that, and I'm left with 1, 2, 3 single crochet in the end of my row. So after my 3 single crochet, I'm going to work my bubble stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 5 stitches, 6 loops, which we're going to work together, and I'm going to work 1 single crochet in each of the last 2 stitches. 1, and the last stitch, 2. Now put your hook in the first single crochet for this row and work a slip stitch and a chain 1 to start the next row. So in the end of every row, I have a total of 22 bubble stitches. Okay, and what just happened is we worked a bubble stitch and only 2 single crochet in the end. But if you add the first single crochet that we worked in the beginning of the row and then the bubble stitch, if you go all around, I will have again the same number of stitches. So bubble stitch, 3 single crochet, bubble stitch, 3 single crochet, and so on. So now in order to start the 4th and last row of repetitions, turn your work. And starting from the first single crochet, start working 1 single crochet in every stitch for a total of 88 single crochet. So 1, next stitch, 2, the 3rd stitch is my bubble stitch, so again I want to grab those 2 top loops, 3, the next 3 stitches are my single crochet, 4, 5, and 6. The next stitch is the bubble stitch, 7. So keep working 1 single crochet in every stitch for a total of 88 single crochet. I've completed my 4th and last row of repetitions, so I'm going to put my hook in the first stitch and work a slip stitch. Chain 1 and turn your work. So now you're going to follow those 4 rows of repetitions from row 5 through row 8, and you're going to follow the same exact steps, okay? So what did we do in the first row of repetitions? We worked 1 single crochet in each of the first 3 stitches. 1, 2, and 3. After the 3rd single crochet, we're going to work our bubble stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 5 stitches, 6 loops, close them together, and after I complete my bubble stitch, I'm going to work 1 single crochet in each of the next 3 stitches. 1, 2, and 3. So what just happened? Because I'm following the repetitions of the first row, the bubble stitches that I'm going to work in this row are going to be aligned with those of the first row. Okay, so every time we're doing the repetitions of the first row, all the bubble stitches are going to be aligned together. Then I'm going to follow the second row of repetitions, which is 1 single crochet in every stitch in the wrong side. Then I'm going to follow the 3rd row of repetitions, in which I'm going to work 1 single crochet in the first stitch, and starting from the 2nd stitch I'm going to work my first bubble stitch. So every time I follow the repetitions of row number 2, all the bubble stitches are going to be aligned together with those of row number 2. Okay, and then we're going to do the 4th row of repetitions, which is the last row, again with 1 single crochet in every stitch for a total of 88 stitches. So the 4 rows that you repeat are rows 5, 6, 7, and 8. So I'm going to keep working my backpack off camera, and I'm going to keep working up until I finish a total of 3 skeins out of these. Once I finish my 3rd skein, I'm going to turn the video back on to see how to crochet the lid and how to attach everything else on my backpack. The straps, the button, and the cord that tightens up my backpack. I've completed crocheting my backpack so far, and starting to count from the first row of bubbles, I have made a total of 17 rows of the bubble stitch, and because only counting the bubble stitch rows, and because I have made a row of single crochet after every row of bubble stitch, it means that I have a total of 34 rows starting to count from the first row of the bubble stitch. Okay, my last row was a row of single crochet after the row of the bubble stitch. Okay, I've worked my slip stitch, I've worked 1 chain. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to work 2 more chains, and those 2 first chains count as a double crochet, and I'm going to turn my work. Now this is going to be a row of double crochet because this is where we're going to put the strap that we're going to tighten our backpack with. Okay, so those 3 chains are my first double crochet, next stitch, 2, next one, 3, 4, 5, 6, and keep crocheting 1 double crochet all around, and in the end of this row you should have the same amount of stitches that you had with your double crochet as well. I've completed crocheting my 88 double crochet all around. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to put my hook and work a slip stitch in the first double crochet for this row, which is the chain 3, counting from the bottom to the top. Put your hook in that 3rd chain, slip stitch, chain 1, and turn your work. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to work 1 row of single crochet for a total of 88 stitches all around, starting from the first stitch, 1, 2, 3, 4, and keep crocheting for a total of 88 single crochet. I've completed crocheting my 88 single crochet. Now I'm going to put my hook in the first stitch for this row, slip stitch, chain 1, and turn your work. Now again I'm going to work 1 row of 1 single crochet in every stitch, starting from the first stitch, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and keep crocheting 1 single crochet all around for a total of 88 stitches. And this is how my work looks like at this point. Okay, by crocheting a few rows without working the bubble stitch. And the reason that I do that is because I want to be able in the end to fold those sides on half, so I can pull through here the strap that I'm going to be tightening my backpack with. I've completed crocheting my 88 single crochet. Put your hook in the first stitch for this row, slip stitch, chain 1, cut your yarn and leave a pretty long tail just in case it starts frogging. Okay, pull the loop and tighten up. So this is what we have as a result so far. So the belt that we crocheted over here will help us to attach the lid, and the strap that will help us tighten up our backpack. So what I want to show is that from the 3rd skein, this is what's left. And with my 4th skein, we're going to go ahead and crochet the lid. So let's go ahead and see how to do that. Before we start crocheting for the lid, what we have to do is to separate the stitches that we are going to attach the lid on. Okay, what we want to do is we want to approximately, with our crochet hook, to find the corner of the one side and the corner of the other side, and it's right over here, and I've put stitch markers. Okay, and this is the back part of my backpack. Now don't get confused with where our slip stitch is at, okay, because I did not start in the center of the backpack. I started somewhere in the center, and I did not know if that would be the correct spot. So don't go ahead from your slip stitch and count stitches on the left, on the right, and stitches on the left, because the result is not going to be right. So I have separated a total of 27 stitches. Now the rule for the bubble stitch that we've seen in previous video tutorials is that the rule is multiples of 4 plus 5. But we have seen that we work the bubble stitch with half double crochet. Now because here we're working our bubble stitch with single crochet, the rule is multiples of 4 plus 4. Now if I take the multiple 6 times, 6 times 4 is 24, plus 4 chains in the end, I have a total of 28 chains. And because row number 1 is made with single crochet, I will have a total of 27 stitches. So I will not have to add or subtract any stitches from the ones that I've separated, because the rule adjusts correctly on the stitches that I've put my stitch markers on. So now let's see how to crochet the lid. I have already started with my 28 chains, and I'm going to start working my single crochet, my first row. Now the first row is not the first row of repetitions, okay? So skip the first chain, put your hook in the second one, and work your first single crochet. 1, next chain, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and keep crocheting up until you have 27 single crochet by working 1 single crochet in every chain. I've worked my 27 single crochet. Now we're going to start row number 2, which is my first row of repetitions. Chain 1 and turn your work. Start by working 1 single crochet in each of the first 3 stitches. 1, 2, and 3. In the 4th stitch, you're going to work your bubble stitch. I'm not going to go slow because the bubble stitch is made in the same exact way we did on our backpack. 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5. I worked 5 stitches, 6 loops on my hook, which we are going to close together. Starting from the next stitch, work 3 single crochet in a row. 1, 2, and 3. In the 4th stitch again, I'm going to work my bubble stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 5 stitches, 6 loops on my hook. Grab the yarn, pull through all of those 6 loops. Starting from the next single crochet, work 3 stitches in a row. 1, 2, and 3. Now keep working the same pattern, 3 single crochet, bubble stitch, 3 single crochet, bubble stitch, where in the last 3 stitches I'm going to work 1 single crochet in each of the last 3 stitches. I've completed my row by working 1 single crochet in each of the last 3 stitches. Now we're going to start row number 3, which is the second row of repetitions. Chain 1 and turn your work. Now this is the wrong side of your project, so as we did on our backpack as well, we're going to crochet 1 single crochet in every stitch. 1, next stitch, 2, 3 on top of the bubble, 4, and keep crocheting 1 single crochet for a total of 27 stitches. I've completed my row with a total of 27 single crochet. Now chain 1 and turn your work. Now we're going to start row number 4, but the third row of repetitions. Now in this row we want the bubbles to fall in between of the bubbles of the previous row. So what we're going to do is I'm going to start with 1 single crochet in the first stitch, and I'm going to work my bubble stitch starting from the second stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 stitches, 6 loops, close them together, work 1 single crochet in each of the next 3 stitches, 1, 2, and 3. Now in the 4th stitch, bubble stitch, 3 single crochet, bubble stitch, 3 single crochet, bubble stitch. So keep working the same pattern now as we did in the previous row. And again, we're going to finish our row. In the second before last stitch, we're going to have a bubble stitch, and in the last stitch, we're going to have a single crochet. When I finish my row, I'm going to turn my video back on. I've completed my row. As I mentioned before I turn my video off, the second before last stitch is a bubble stitch, and the last stitch of the row is a single crochet. And this is how this row looks like. See how all the bubbles fall in between of the bubbles of the previous row? Now we're going to start row number 5, which is the 4th and last row of repetitions. Chain 1 and turn your work. So every time you're on the wrong side of your work, you're always going to be working 1 single crochet in every stitch, starting from the first stitch, 1, next stitch is the bubble stitch, 2, next stitch, 3, and keep crocheting for a total of 27 single crochet. I've worked my 27 single crochet, and this was the last row of repetitions. Now I'm going to chain 1 and I'm going to turn my work. Now I'm going to start my repetitions all over again, starting from row number 2. Okay, so we always repeat the 4 rows, row 2 through row 5. So what did we do in row number 2? We started with 3 single crochet, 1, 2, and 3, and in the 4th stitch we worked our bubble. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 5 stitches, 6 loops which we're going to close together, and again work 1 single crochet in each of the next 3 stitches. 1, 2, 3. So when we repeat the same steps, we started repeating row number 2 all over again. So see how the bubbles align with each other? So I'm going to go ahead and work off video now, off camera. A few rows. When I turn my video back on, I'm going to mention the rows that I've worked. Okay, so when you come to repeat row number 4, your bubble stitches are going to align with those of row number 4. So this is how you know if you're working your rows correctly. Keep repeating rows 2 through row 5. And when I turn my video back on, we're going to see how to work a few decreases to see how to work a nice arch on our lid. Okay, so keep repeating rows 2 through row 5. I've completed crocheting my lid so far. Now what we're going to do is we're going to crochet a few decreases to make a nice round in the bottom of our lid. At this point, I have crocheted a total of 30 rows, starting from the beginning row of single crochet up until the end. If I count only the rows of the bubble stitch that I've created, I've worked a total of 15 rows of the bubble stitch, where at the end of the last row, I have not worked my row of single crochet. Okay, we're going to work that row of single crochet together. So once we finish our row, we're going to chain 1 and turn our work. Now we want to work decreases because we want in the next row of bubble stitch to have one less bubble than the other rows. So in order to do that, I'm going to close together 3 stitches in the beginning and 3 stitches in the end of my row. This way, out of the 27 double crochet that I had so far, I'm going to have a total of 23. Okay, so put your hook in the first single crochet, grab the yarn, pull it through the stitch, and leave the loop on your hook. Put your hook in the second single crochet, grab the yarn, and hold the loop on your hook. Put your hook in the third single crochet, grab the yarn, pull it through the stitch, and leave the loop on your hook. So I've crocheted through 3 stitches and have 4 loops on my hook, which I'm going to crochet together. So those 3 stitches became 1. So now I'm going to keep crocheting 1 single crochet in every stitch up until I'm left with my last 3 stitches. Okay, so 1, next stitch, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and I'm going to keep crocheting up until I reach the 22nd stitch, which is going to be the stitch where I had my bubble stitch. And once I reach my 22nd stitch, I'm going to turn my video back on to close the last 3 stitches together. I've reached my 22nd single crochet and I'm left with my last 3 stitches, which I'm going to work together to form a decrease. So put your hook in the next single crochet, grab the yarn, hold the loop on your hook. Next stitch, grab the yarn, hold the loop on your hook, and the last stitch of the row, grab the yarn and hold the loop on your hook. 3 stitches, 4 loops again, which we're going to close together. Chain 1 and turn your work. So now we're going to work our bubble stitch, where we're going to start the row by crocheting 1 single crochet in each of the first 3 stitches. 1, 2, and 3. The 4th stitch is going to be my bubble stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So I have 6 loops on my hook, which I'm going to close together. And now keep repeating the same pattern we were doing so far. 3 single crochet, in the 4th stitch work your bubble, 3 single crochet, bubble, 3 single crochet, bubble, up until the end, where the last 3 stitches are going to be my last 3 single crochet. I have completed my row. See how the decrease has started to form? Okay. What we're going to do now is we're going to start by chaining 1. We're going to turn the row and we're going to start working decreases again. So again, I'm going to work the first 3 stitches together. So put your hook in the first single crochet, grab the yarn, hold the loop on your hook. 2nd stitch, grab the yarn, hold the loop on your hook. 3rd stitch, grab the yarn, hold the loop on your hook. So we've crocheted in 3 stitches and we have 4 loops, which we're going to crochet together. Okay, so this is my first stitch. 2, 3, and keep crocheting in the last 3 stitches we're going to work together. And since we had 23 stitches in the previous row, in this row we're going to have 19. So once I reach my 18th stitch, which is going to be when I crochet on top of the bubble stitch, I'm going to turn my video back on to crochet the last 3 stitches together. I've reached my 18th stitch and I'm left with the last 3 stitches of my row. Put your hook in the next stitch, grab the yarn, hold the loop on your hook. Next stitch, grab the yarn, hold the loop on your hook. And the last stitch for this row, grab the yarn and hold the loop on your hook. Again, I've crocheted in 3 stitches, 4 loops, which we're going to crochet together. Chain 1 and turn your work. Again, in this row, we're going to start by crocheting 1 single crochet in each of the first 3 stitches. 1, 2, and 3. In the 4th stitch, again, we're going to work our bubble, 3 single crochet bubble, 3 single crochet bubble, 3 single crochet bubble, where in the end of the row, we're going to finish again with 3 single crochet. I've completed my row. Now we're going to start the next row of single crochet, which is going to be the last row of decreases. So chain 1 and turn your work. So we're going to decrease in the same exact way. So I'm going to work together the first 3 stitches, and because we had 19 single crochet in the previous row, in this row we're going to be left with only 15 stitches. Okay, so start by crocheting together the first 3 single crochet. 1, 2, 3. So I've crocheted in 3 stitches, 4 loops on my hook, which I'm going to crochet together. So 1, next stitch, 2, next stitch, 3, and keep crocheting up until you reach your 14th stitch, which is going to be when you crochet on top of the bubble stitch. We're going to be left with the 3 last stitches, where I'm going to turn my video to crochet them together. I've reached my 14th stitch and I'm left with the last 3 stitches of the row. So I'm going to crochet them together. Okay, so let's start. 1, next stitch, 2, last stitch, 3. So again, we've worked through 3 stitches, 4 loops in our hook, which we're going to close together. Chain 1 and turn your work to work the last row of bubble stitches for the lid. Okay, starting from the first stitch, we're going to crochet 3 stitches in a row. 1, 2, and 3. Next stitch is going to be a bubble stitch, 3 single crochet bubble stitch, 3 single crochet bubble stitch, and again my last 3 stitches are going to be 3 single crochet. I've completed my row, and this is how my work looks like at this point. This is how it looks when we worked our decreases. So what I did is I cut my yarn, I burned it in the end because I don't want my yarn to start frogging by itself. Okay. So after my last single crochet, chain 1, pull the loop and fasten off. What we're going to do now is we're going to work 1 row all around with single crochet. And this is a nice way to finish the lids on your backpacks or on your purses that you make. This way, those little bumps, the steps that are visible when we turned our rows, okay, we don't want them to be visible. But also by working a last row of single crochet, you will help the corners to straighten up and your work won't be folding inwards. Okay, so let's start. Okay, so this is the bottom of my work and this is the top. So I'm going to turn my work sideways and we're going to start crocheting. Okay. So I'm going to attach my yarn and make sure you burn your end because I'm going to be weaving it on as I crochet the row. So attach your yarn in this first chain of your work. Grab the yarn, pull through the chain, chain 1, and in that very same stitch work 1 single crochet. Okay, so what we want to do now is work 1 single crochet on top of every first single crochet of every row. Okay, so next row, the first single crochet. 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 Okay, next stitch, next stitch, next stitch, next stitch, and see how nice it looks when we work the row of single crochet all around, how nice and straight it looks. So keep crocheting up until you reach right over here the corner where you started working your decreases. When I reach my corner, I'm going to turn my video back on to work the corner together, and then the rest of the lid we're going to work off camera. This is how my work looks like at this point. I've worked 1 single crochet in every stitch and now I've reached the spot where I have started my decreases. So what I want to do is to work 1 stitch in every stitch, again going through the decreases. Okay, so 1 stitch in the next stitch, 1 stitch inside the decreases. Okay, 1 stitch inside the next stitch, one side and it decreases, one stitch in the next stitch, one stitch inside the decreases, one stitch in the next stitch, one stitch in the last row of decreases, and I'm going to start working one single crochet on top of each single crochet of the last row. Okay, so start working your single crochet now on top of the stitches of the last row. Okay, so go ahead and finish crocheting one single crochet on top of every stitch of the last row and start going downwards, crocheting the same exact way we crocheted on this side over here. And see what a nice curve we gave our lid by crocheting the one single crochet and right here where we formed the decreases. Okay, so keep crocheting one stitch all around. Once I reach here in the end, I'm going to turn my video back on to see how to adjust the lid on the backpack. I have completed crocheting all around and this is how it looks. Here's where we started. Going around, these are my two corners over here. Then going downwards, okay. I have also crocheted in the last chain. Okay, so this is the last single crochet where I've crocheted, my last single crochet, but also go through the last chain and work one single crochet. This is the chain stitches that we started to work our lid with. Okay, in that very same chain stitch, put your hook again and work one more single crochet. What we're going to do now is we're going to work one single crochet on top of each chain stitch that we worked in the beginning. This way we're going to help our work to we're going to be able to sew our lid easier on our backpack. Okay, so put your hook in the next chain stitch and work one single crochet, next chain, single crochet, next chain, single crochet, next chain, single crochet, next chain, single crochet. Okay, so keep working one single crochet in every chain stitch, and in the last stitch that you're going to crochet into is the stitch that we started crocheting around the lid. I've crocheted one single crochet in every stitch. I've crocheted in the very same stitch that I started, in the same chain that I started my row, my first single crochet. Okay, so once you finish, put your hook in the first single crochet for this row, slip stitch, chain one, leave a long tail because we're going to sew the lid on our backpack. Okay, make sure you burn it a little bit. Okay, so after the chain that we worked, pull the loop to fasten off. Okay, tighten up. And now let's see how to adjust the lid on our backpack. Okay, so now we're going to adjust, and what I did over here is I found the stitches down here on the double crochet that apply to the stitch that I had my stitch marker on here, because I'm going to sew the lid on top right here in the stitches of the double crochet, because I want the belt that I crocheted to be on the inside of the lid. I don't want it to be visible. Okay, so go ahead also and find the stitch that applies to the single crochet that you marked up here. So what I'm going to do now, we started with a total of 27 stitches. That's why we have a total of 27 stitches marked with our stitch markers. But what happened when we worked the row of single crochet all around? We added one stitch on the one side and one stitch on the other side. So I'm going to start sewing one stitch right of the stitch marker, and I'm going to finish stitching, sewing one stitch left of the stitch marker over here. So let's go ahead and start. Put your lid on your bag, and what we're going to do is put the needle from the top to the bottom on the first stitch, on the last stitch that you crocheted. Once you do that, put your needle in the bottom over here on the right stitch of the double crochet that you have marked from the front to the back. Okay, and take out the stitch marker because we don't need it anymore. Okay. Once you do that, go ahead from the back, from the inside to the outside of your bag, put your needle in the second double crochet, in the next double crochet, and on the front, make sure you grab the second single crochet from your lid. And sew. Now from the outside to the inside, from the top to the bottom, put your needle in the third single crochet of the lid, in the third double crochet on the inside of your bag. Okay, then from the back to the front, grab the fourth double crochet of the backpack and your fourth single crochet. From the top to the bottom, then grab the fifth single crochet and fifth double crochet of your bag. So you want to go from the outside to the inside, from the inside to the outside, and make sure you grab the same stitch from the lid and of your backpack as well. This way the lid is going to align nicely on your backpack. On every 2-3 stitches that you join together, make sure you grab the corner of your lid and tighten up the yarn to make sure all the stitches are tightly stitched, tightly sewed on your backpack. Once I finish, I'm going to turn my video back on to see how to continue. I've sewn the lid on my backpack, and this is how it looks like. The last stitch that I sewed was from the outside to the inside of my bag, so my yarn is on the inside. But even if your last stitch was on the outside, make sure you bring your yarn on the inside so you can weave it in. Okay, make sure before you finish with this yarn, make sure you grab and you tighten up so all stitches are nice and tight on your bag. Okay, once you do that, make sure you go ahead and sew a knot. To make sure your stitches won't loosen up. Okay, you can do that step one more time, and once you do it, go ahead and weave in your ends right here on the inside. I'm going to do mine in the end. What I'm going to do now is we're going to see how to adjust our tightening cord on our bag. If you don't have or you don't want to buy a tightening cord, you can go ahead and crochet chains and 1 row of single crochet, and we're going to take through our cord right here on the row with the double crochet that we've made. Okay, so now we want to adjust the stitches correctly so we can add our tightening cord. Okay, so what I want to do, firstly, take out the tightening part so we can pull the pieces through our work. And what I've done here, I have folded my purse, my backpack, in half. Okay, what I'm going to do now, see how it's pointing out? I want to take that point and point it inwards. Okay, fold it in half. And make sure that when you fold in half and your work is now the dent that we work, that your work is correctly, the dent is being formed right here, right on the side of the base. Okay, do the same exact thing on the other side as well. See how the dent is on the outside? Now pull it on the inside, pull it inwards. Make sure you stretch out your stitches correctly. Fold it in half here as well, and make sure that the dent here, the folding is right correctly on the side of the base. So since I know that it's sitting correctly, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to find the center of my stitches right here in the front, the center, double crochet. So I'm taking one stitch on the one side, one stitch on the other side, next stitch, okay, next stitch. So I'm going inwards by taking out double crochet to find the center of my backpack. Okay, right here is the center of my backpack. So I have 3 stitches in the center. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my cord, from the outside to the inside. Okay. Now I want it to go from the inside to the outside about 1 stitch before the denting that I have made. Now, put your leather piece on the from the outside to the inside, right here where we have bent our backpack. So leave 1, 2, 3 stitches, 4 stitches space, and take it in, put it through, and through. Want it to go on the back side as well. Okay. Now that we have taken it through and through, make sure you take it through the other side as well, because we want this denting, the fold that we made on our backpack, to stay closed. Okay, and make sure it closes up. Now let's go on the back side. Okay, and again leave 3 stitches and go in. Okay, a few stitches later, again from the inside to the outside, the piece, and again right over here, Make sure it looks correctly in the eye, you know, that it looks nice and symmetrically. Okay. Again, from the inside to the outside. And now again, leave 3 stitches as we've left on the other side, and take the piece and take it through and through to make sure that the dent that we have created, that it stays closed. And make sure it goes on the bottom piece on the other side as well. And pull it tightly so it closes up. Okay, now leave 4 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4. Put your piece on the inside and take it out. 1, 2, 3 stitches on the left of where we started. Okay. Now put your tightening piece in here, make a knot down here and a knot over here as well. Okay, make sure you adjust it so both sides have equal side of cord hanging, and this is how it looks when we have it folded. Okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to stuff it with a few skeins of yarn so I can figure out where I'm going to add my buttons. Okay, because if we close it up as it is empty, you're going to close it up completely and see how it closes here and there's no space left. When you go ahead and add items in your backpack, it's going to stretch out and it's going to be pulling outwards, and your backpack is going to look as it is completed in the wrong way, and it would be. But so make sure, stuff it with a few skeins of yarn here to make it get puffier. Okay, so fill it in, and we're going to go ahead and attach the buttons. I have stuffed my backpack. I've put inside 4 skeins of yarn, so it got kind of thick. Okay, and now we're going to see where to adjust the buttons. So right here on my lid, there's no reason to make it difficult for ourselves because we have 3 bubbles in the end row. The center bubble, the second bubble, is the center of my lid. So right over here is where I am going to attach the hinge, and I'm going to sew it in with yarn that I've made my backpack. Okay, so this is where I am going to adjust, where I'm going to sew my hinge. So now, without closing the lid completely, we don't want to be very, very tight. Just leave a few, make sure that it's kind of a little space over here so it looks nice when it hangs from our back. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the link and I'm going to attach it inside the hinge. Okay, and by doing that, I'm going to center where I'm going to sew the bottom part of the link right over here on my work. Okay, and I'm going to attach it on my backpack. Make sure that the quick release link, the release part, is on the top, and the part that you sew on the bottom is over here. Make sure you leave the quick release on the top so you can release at any time this other link if you need to. Okay, so this is how we're going to attach the buttons on our backpack. I'm going to do this off camera. We're going to sew with the yarn that we used for the backpack. Once I finish sewing, I'm going to turn my video back on to see how to attach the bag handles. Now that I've completed attaching my buttons, what we're going to do is we're going to attach the straps on the back of our backpack. So we want to make sure that we are holding the straps correctly in order to sew them correctly on our work. We want the loop to be on the top part. This is the lid and this is the bottom of my backpack. I want the loop to be on the top, and the things that we increase and the decrease inside, we want them to be on the bottom part of the links. So what I did is the piece was bigger, so I had to cut in order to adjust. I left 2 holes on the right side of the link and 2 holes on the left side, and I want to adjust my leather piece from the one side of the lid that I've sewn to the end of the lid on the other side. Okay, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take the rope that I crocheted my backpack with, and I'm going to sew from the top to the bottom, from the bottom to the top, from the top to the bottom, from the bottom to the top, from the top to the bottom, from the bottom to the top. So you want to go inside and outside, inside and outside, all through our holes all around here. Once I finish sewing, I'm going to turn my video back on. Also, the quick release hinge right over here, once we finish, it adjusts to the links that are under our base, and this is why we want to get the complete set in order for the backpack to in order we are able to finish correctly our backpack. Okay, and this is how it's going to look like. So I'm going to finish sewing off camera, and then I'm going to turn my video back on. I've completed my backpack. This is how it looks in the back, where I've attached the leather piece with the handles. And this is the front, where I've attached my button. Now, the good thing about this bag is that it is polymorphic. What this means that it can be worn in many ways. Once you loosen up those metal links over here, you loosen up the other side as well. The backpack immediately becomes a handbag. Okay, so you can wear it in any way that you prefer. We have a 3-in-1 bag, so we can wear it any way that we like depending on how we get dressed. We can wear it as a backpack, you can wear it as a shoulder bag, or as a messenger bag. Thanks for watching. I would like to thank the store Magenta Arty Workshop for sending their best quality materials to make those beautiful bags and purses. Also, if you want to become a sponsor to my channel, check out the About section of the video tutorial so you can see what it is and the extra videos that you get once you become a sponsor. Thanks again for your time. Bye bye.